I think that's working. Yeah, okay, it's working, I think. All right, so recording is on. You close a few windows. Bring over a few windows. And tonight I get to talk to you about more about some virtualization stuff. Not yet, I got it. There. All right. What you're looking at is a mess. But basically, I have, I want you to notice how my mouse moves. I got two of them floating around in there. This is Tiny Core Linux, and Tiny Core Linux is very, very primitive. It uses Visa as the display manager, which is even older than VGA. So the keyboard, I have to load up some extra things to make this all work right. But what I'm demonstrating is that this is a virtual machine running on this. This is an Ubuntu Linux micro PC with 8 gig of RAM. Nothing. Notice this got two cables. The white one is the power, and this gray one is serial. Tonight, we're going to talk about serial ports. I won't say every, but I would say almost all your networking equipment, your routers, your switches, your managed hubs, all the stuff in the room next door, all the servers in the racks in the back can be managed with a serial port. So knowing how to use a serial port is kind of important in this arena. And if you get into the IoT world, knowing how to use a serial port to get to your little device to do debugging, because that's the only way you'll be able to get to it. Because sometimes it's a box and it just sends the data. That's all it does. There's no way to connect to it over the web. It doesn't have any networking. It's just sending stuff out, like, I don't know, GPS or something. I'm thinking of the water tables and the US Geological Survey. They got these contraptions that send out radio waves, and it gets bounced down and says, this is how much water we got. But if you need to go work on those, you go up to touch it and you connect it with a serial port. So you can manage it and make it work. So we're going to talk about serial ports tonight. Whether or not we actually do serial ports tonight, I would love to, but I don't know if we'll have the time or if our computers will behave, because there are some caveats about all this stuff. So this one, I want to hit Q. All right. And let me move this out of the way. This, folks, is a buzzword for you. It's called SPICE. Oh, another good one. I think some of these have been up here since pre-COVID. SPICE-HTML5. There is no BNC-HTML5. There is XRPA-HTML5. I will go through all these tonight and explain them. This is not in test out. Okay, this is real world practical stuff. This is what you'd be using in industry. Okay. What I'm doing is that this is the Spice HTML5 client. Okay. And the way it works is Spice is a protocol like Windows Remote Desktop. Okay. Except it's leaner, meaner, and faster. Okay. They wrote it from the ground up, and it's constantly improving. You can pass through your sound, you can pass through all kinds of cool things. And as you can see here, that looks pretty good. What is this? Well, that's the IP address of the server in my office. And 9090, let's see, this is Spike. 9090 is a web sockify. It's basically taking Spice protocol and running it through HTTP. It's a proxy, and that's what it does. It just proxies the Spice protocol through HTTP so I can use the web. Now, on my server, which is somewhere around here, this one. This is all stuff you can use to build up your home network. No, start Spice. All right, what am I looking at? WebSockify is the name of the program. So you'll use apt-get WebSockify on your host machine. You have a Debian machine running, right? You've got your Jeremy box here, reloaded Debian. So if we wanted to do the exact same thing, we would do alt-get install WebSockify, and the other one is alt-get or alt-install spice-html. So this runs on the host. Now, what does it do? Well, if we look at this 9090, this is saying use the daemon mode. So pretend I'm a server and use this directory to issue web stuff through that port out. But take the stuff from the inside, the host, 5933, which is attached to my virtual machine. Okay. All right. That gives me the ability to do this. So I don't need any special client. I can have a virtual machine running somewhere, and all I need is a web browser. Nice. Now, there is a small disadvantage to using this stuff, is that the way Spice is written and the way this particular Spice protocol is working, if you connect to it, you will steal my session. Doesn't that sound fun? Now, how do you get around that? Well, what you do, I'll show you, is that you set a password on your Spice protocol options in KVM. Okay. And then you put a password on it. And then when somebody accidentally gets to the wrong VM, they have to know your password. Okay. That way but this is, I would say this is the kind of thing that you would set up for internal use only. Do not set this up on a production box with it facing out to the world. You'll get hacked in a heartbeat, okay? Because it's not terribly secure, but it is wonderfully convenient, okay? And so I have this running, and that's what Spice does. And let me show you this that I'm experimenting with. Oh, look, there's a password. I remember my password. Yeah, I do. I just set this up today, so I'm not that rusty. It shows my password. Oh, how terrible. Let me move it out of the way. Not that you would be malicious, but just to avoid the temptation. This is a copy of the machine. And I copied it to another computer. Why is it doing that? Why is it refreshing? But you saw that it was much bigger, right? Well, I'm running it on two pieces of hardware. I copied my virtual machine from one machine to another. That's all I did. And boom, brought it up. Works, but the resolution isn't quite right. Although I haven't figured that out. So I haven't figured that out yet. That just happened today. I have been fixing things all day long. Everything has been breaking. All right. So that's basically all you need to, that this is, you can do this same idea with no VNC, which is virtual network computing. Think of this as a direct equivalent of remote desktop. VNC and RDP are basically the same thing. Microsoft took VNC, ripped off all the ideas and rewrote it and called it remote desktop. Okay. So the design philosophy is very similar. This is something different, completely different. Write this down and go search on XRPA. Google it. So what is it?
The software
It lets you
connect.
create X Windows sessions on a target machine and connect and disconnect and reconnect. So it functions in some ways like VNC or Spice, except you can set as many sessions up as you want. Okay. It's got quite a bit more overhead. It's a little slower, but it's also a little more elegant. XRPA is something that you probably will not see in industry around here. But if you get into high performance computing or places where they're doing some very sophisticated virtualization, like the lab, you would run into it. Okay. So this is not something that you would normally run into. Okay. Now I want to show you this guy. Isn't this just lovely? What am I looking at? This is a serial terminal called GTK term that is running on this box that is connected to this port. Notice it says USB 0, blinding speed of 9800 here. And that cable is physically connected to this little box. This is exactly what you'd be doing if you had switches to control. Because switches generally have some sort of 9 plug, 9 DB9. Cisco has an RJ45 that says console, and it needs a kind of a specialized adapter. It looks like a USB port on one side, but it's kind of fat. There's a chip in there, and it translates USB into RS-232 serial port for the console switch. So you can actually manage your switches using that cable. It's a special cable. It's a Cisco cable. You can find clones online, okay? But what this gives me the ability to do is I can physically connect to the box. So this is some sort of IoT device. It's my GPS water logger up in the mountains. And this is my notebook, big heavy thing called a luggable. And I go up there and I can connect to the box. No networking. Zero networking. Networking is not needed because you're using a serial port. Okay. Connects, works. Slick. So I can do my updates. There we go. Look at how lovely fast this is. 9600 baud is not terribly fast, but it works. So I'm running an update via the serial terminal, via the serial cable to this box, which is happened to connect to wireless. So that's how I'm pulling it down. And because of my credentials as an instructor, I am allowed to connect to wireless to the box. And here we have it. Okay. Now, here's some fun stuff. Note time. This you will use if you're in an enterprise that's using KVM or Zen, aka Google, Amazon, Azure. Even there's a push for what they call hybrid cloud, where part of your company is in the public cloud and part of your company is in the private cloud that you build and maintain. So I could do that with those racks back there, okay? And there's some interesting developments in that space, okay? So what I want to do is that on my little box here, now I'm using some networking. And the machine name is KNOT, not. I just picked a name. I had a book of knots in front of me. So what? But now I'm on the box. It's like I'm sitting at this console, okay? And I can't find the IP to TC64 or AlpVM. How do I find it? Well, there's 100 ways to do it. I'll show you one way by using the VIRSH command. Now I'm feeding you with fire hose, so take notes. This stuff is going to leak right out. And you say, I'll never need this. Yeah, you will. Everybody is moving to virtualization because it saves so much money. Okay. They may be using different tools, but the concepts are identical. Okay. So here's how it goes. I want to connect to that box right here. I'll use Alpine VPN. So let me show you what it is. Open. It's already open somewhere. Okay, where is it? That's that one. I can close that. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Ah, here it is. This is Alpine. All right. Those with great eyeballs. How much RAM do I have? 768. That is it with one processor. I'm on an 8 gig machine with 4 processors. Or basically 4 cores. But it's running. And I just ran an update and everything's good. And whoops. Alpine is interesting. Alpine and Tiny Core are not like any other distribution. They're very unique and they have very special use cases. Alpine is used in routers and switches. Tiny Core is used to provision a room full of crappy computers and get them to boot so you can put an operating system on them. You can boot this entire room with one pen drive with Tiny Core on it, and you'll be able to load the operating system from this for each and every machine. And because it's only about 30 megabyte, it's really fast. Okay. And if we get time, I'll show you how to modify your grub entry so you can boot Tiny Core to fix your machine. Like FSCK, like I had a problem with this little box today, it died on me. And I said, why? Oh, corrupted drive. FSCK and fixed it. Okay. All right. So there we go. Now, this you can see. You go view console, right? View details. This is where all your stuff is. Let's look at Spice. Notice what Spice is doing here. This is where you put your Spice password. So somebody else won't snitch your Spice session. Click. All right. And let's go back to view console. And I want to show you something here where it says console. Notice I have 2 options. One says graphical, which you're familiar with. What's the other one say? Serial 1. What do you suppose that's going to do for us? Yuppie, yuppie. There's my serial console connected to the VM. So I could create a VM with 0 networking and connect to it, and it would work just fine. Okay, and you can still, now would Spice work? Well, that depends. If you're on the host where the VM is running, then Spice might work because you say localhost port number. Okay, and Spice also might work if you use the HTML5 and do a web proxy off the Spice connection, because when I bring up this machine, what IP address is that? My host, my office. What's the IP address for this one? I don't care, because I'm getting to it as a wrapper. The VM is running and I have this wrapper called Spice that allows me a graphical login and also a serial login. Okay. So you can do management that way. So I can log in here. Now, what did I log in as? Am I tux here? I don't know. I think I used DK. Yeah, here we go. And it's a, can't make it bigger because it's a TTY, but it's APK. Well, you got to be, you have to go to root. You say do as APK upper U upgrade. And then it asks for the root. Oh, it's asking for my password. This is why I use the same password for virtual machines. I get a zillion of them. Okay, all done. Okay. So I can use a connection to either serial or graphical to manage the VM. Okay. Clear as mud. I get it. So I use that from here. Okay. So let's tinker with this. View details, spice, auto port. No, I want to use 18 as my number because it's Alpine 3.18. And then I got a password on it. And you say, okay. So what I can do now is just simply say force off. Now, if you have a big VM that's doing a lot of processes, this could be very dangerous, but I don't. So now I'm just going to restart it, go into my console. Now, is this going to show my password? Nope. There it is. It's running, but I want to go to the host. And I want to do that thingy with the WebSockify, right? What was the command line? We all forgot already. It's like right there. Okay. So I'm going to use this one. And just for fun, I'm going to create a script. And let's see how close I am. 9090 599. That's wrong. I want 18. So now all I have to do is run my start spice here. Oh no. How do you make a script executable? You all should know that one. Super quiz, chmod. If you don't, you missed a few things in test out. I know they covered that. So now it runs, and now I can use this command called ss, which is socket something, and put in TAUPLEN. Yeah. So now I can see what ports are connected to what. I'll make this smaller, maybe. Let's see here. And what process is running. So I can see, I got a bunch of stuff in here that I have forgotten about. I'm still having fun with this little box, tinkering with it. There's, what's that? Port 4? That's my spice port. So somewhere in here, I should see a 9090 that says SOXA. Let's do it this way. Let me see if it actually ran. Cat starts spice. Whoops. Notice, oh, I don't have the log file in there. Oh, well. That should work. Let's see.
You only CH modded it. You didn't run it.
Pardon?
You only CH modded it. You only made it an executable, but you didn't run the executable.
Oh, I didn't run it. Oh, yeah, that could be why it didn't load. Blindingly obvious oversight. Thank you. There. Now it's telling me. Now if I do my L port thingy, we should see it. There it is. So that means I'm wired for sound. And I have to find one other thing. What's my IP address? This one. And I go over here. Put in my IP address. Thank you. Default config. I haven't set it up yet. 9090. And it comes up the very first time I do this, it comes up with this. And then once I click here, blip, and now it puts my password in the clear, which is kind of lame. I'm connected to my virtual machine via Spice through a proxy to my 8 gig micro PC. Not too shabby. Okay. All right. That's a lot of info. If you feel lost, I don't blame you. Okay. Make this a little bigger. Now, all that to get to this next piece. VIRSH list. I have 2 VMs running. Let's say I want to connect to them without using Spice or a serial port or anything fancy. I use VIRSH console. And then I put in the name that I want to connect. I'm going to use alt VM. Escape character is control \. Put that in your brain. That control left bracket, I guess, is an escape sequence that shows up in Telnet. It shows up in terminals. It shows up everywhere. It's one of those escape sequences. When all else fails, try control square bracket that way. Oh, look, what am I connected to? Is this a TTY or is this a graphical? Well, let's just be lazy and find out. There is no display. That means there is no X windows. That means when you use VIRSH, you connect to the console of the VM with no GUI, but you can fix anything you need to. Why do I want to show you all this? That's coming. Okay. Let me exit out of this. VIRSH. Oh, it's not letting me exit. So what do I need? Control. There you go. Magic. All right. Now I'll leave that up. I'll show you this. Let me log in here. I hope I can get in. I was going to use Chat GPT, but I was informed it's been down since about 12:30. Darn, I was going to use it in my assembler class. I was disappointed. The students weren't. They got to go home early. And I'm not going to keep you for the full time, because I have been nonstop since I've been here. I am now logged into Linode. Okay. I'm logged into my account on Linode. And let's bring up this one. Here's my Linode. I want to show you something. It might take a while to load. This is the Java beast. This one might be faster. We'll just let it sit there for a minute. How many have played with these? Nobody? Okay. I know Phillips D is up. But what is this doing? Well, basically, it's running a distribution called Finex, Finex. That when you click this, it fires up a distribution that opens a serial port to let you manage your virtual machine, just like we do with VIRSH console name. Real world application of what you're learning, Linode lets you do this. And so does Amazon and Google and all the rest of them. I just don't have accounts on all those places. Okay. I don't know why it's so slow. Who cares? I don't really care right now. All right. Now it's your turn. What are you going to do? Well, one, you're going to try to remember everything I just said. And this will be your final. Teasing. Okay. All right. So what I need to do is find my login to the 3 box, which is where? Here we go. GK term. I don't need that. This is a little small, but if I type in Vert Manager, not terribly fast. Virtual Manager takes a lot of juice. Okay. All right. Let's see. Here we go. I think it's this one. Yep, it's this one. Ta-da. Guess what? My Deb 12 that we created is running. Open. Ta-da. Type that in wrong. Ta-da. Now, my question to you is, how do we make that serial thing work? Again, another time for notes. Okay. It's also very easy, very Google-ish. Okay. So let's see if it works. I'm going to go to View, Console, which is good. Consoles, Serial. Oh, it works. Does yours? Try it. Log in. Did it work?
Should I log in as guest or tux? First and foremost.
What got canceled?
No. Guest or tux?
No. You need to log in as Tux with the password Jeremy 231, or the virtual manager will not work because you have to be super user to run Vert Manager. You need to be part of the group libvirt. There's a bunch of things you got to do to make it work. So I'm going to show you how to make your VM do this. So over here, and let's see if I can do it this way. There we go. I spawned a window. Make it a little bigger. Go. Hey. Oh, wait a minute. Darn it, I forgot what the IP address was to my Deb 12 VM. How do I quickly connect? Find out. VIRSH console. Well, let's do list first to make sure I get them right. All right. Console. Deb 12 LVM. Exists for this operation or domains because I already got it fired up. It's because it's right here. I'll use this one. Root. No, I don't want to do root. I'll do tux. My is 235. That is my IP address. Copy that. Okay. So I'm going to hit exit. Darn it, it's not letting me exit. What do I got to do? Control right bracket. Or just say view consoles graphical. All right, now let's go back to this one. That's because I'm logged in here. Yeah. I closed that. Ah, sure enough. Oh dear. Oh, look, it's working. So I'm on my host. I'm using this command and I'm connected. Now, the question we have is, how do we make that work? Oops. Now, as you learn the KVM infrastructure and you learn this makes an awesome final project where you can set up an entire Windows network, a Linux network, put them on different subnets, use something called VYOS, which is a router. It's an operating system that you can virtualize and configure your switch to get the two subnets to talk and actually have it go out to the internet. So you could have a 22 station network that you built off your notebook. Well, probably not that one. You would probably need at least, you need some horsepower. Okay. The more RAM, the better. Cores is handy. Okay. So To enable this, it used to be rather complex to enable serial ports. You guys have it so easy. It's one line. See if it's in here. Well, Alpine is different. Scratch that. I don't want to do Alpine. I want to do. So let's log in. Let's see if Mike can do this. I'm on my host, right? I just found my IP address. I want to see if I can SSH into my VM. Yeah. Magic. Where am I now? I'm lost. Does this mean I can go to a VM, to a VM, to a VM from the host? Yeah, as long as I'm on the same host. Why? This is all local to this machine, unless you set up a router to go out. Bridged networking. Okay. Right now it's all netted, so we're staying local. Okay. Now the question is, how do I enable that serial console to work this way with a physical port with the serial thingy from the virtual manager? I'll just open this one to show it to you. It's around here somewhere. Where's my Debian? Open. Here. Okay. That's 2. And 3. I'll go ahead and close this off. Using VIRSA's console.
You guys spell it right. You guys spell it right.
I did spell that wrong. All those get enabled with our lovely System D. There's a lot of people that just hate it, but it has a very effective use case. That's it, folks. Data shows you the status. Enable makes it work between boots. Start, well, if you say start and only start, it will only stay started until you reboot. And then disable will make it so it does not activate on boot. This makes your life so much easier. Now, TTY S0 typically means some sort of a real serial port. When you make your VM, I want you to look at something. Guess what happens that automatically gets created when you create a VM? When you create a VM, it automatically puts in a serial card port for your VM. So it's a virtual serial port that works just like the real deal.
So basically a fake one of those right there. That's
Mhm.
cool.
And there we go. All right. Magic. Let me go back to here so you can write that down. So obviously you start with 252, 253, and 254. Now, why am I saying S0? Because S0 is the first 9-pin ping. But on this device, with me being connected to it, I spent way too long futzing with that thing. So let me log in and show you. I have to log into number 3 here. So I will log in. Whoops, I'm already logged in. Look at that. Click. Once you log into anything, I don't care what you log into, type in TTY. What's that tell you? It shows you what you logged in at. What's mine say? S1. I was getting flat forehead trying to get S0 to work. And then I used the set serial command and oh, good. I need S1. And lo and behold, everything worked. So what else did we do today? Well, let's look at this line. Well, let's do it on this machine. Or should I? Got right? No. WebSockify, not WebSocksify. Okay. And for grins and giggles, I'll just do it right here. Now, what ports am I using? Oh man, I forgot. SS TAUPLEN, Populin, or NetPaul, whatever you think of. So it looks like I got 5900 as my spice for Debian. Let's confirm that. View details, spice. Yep, 5900. Do I want to leave it at the default or do I want to assign it? So it's always the same. So when I log in, I know where it's going to be. I want that option. So I'm going to use, I don't know, how about 59? What is this? Debian 12? 5912. I'm going to give it a password. And let's connect. I'll use that. Whoops, that's the wrong machine. Oh. I want to reboot the VM. So VIRSH list.
And I want to connect console. Deb 12 LVM. Already got one open. Okay, where am I? I got too many windows open. I'm kind of lost. Oh. No, that's not right. And oh, here we go. This will work. I want to reboot it. Let's do an update first. Remember that update script we did? Where do we put it? Remember that? This is a nice, easy cheater way to do an update on your Linux, Debian, or Linux Ubuntu, or Linux Mint, anything that's Debian based. This is an easy way to update it. So I'm going to go ahead and update it. I need to put bin into my path. And then I'll reboot. Yeah, that should be go. And I don't really care if this is running right now. Okay. But now that it's running, I want to run my WebSockify thing. And what was it? 18. And that's my spice port. So I'm on this box. Spice is on 5918. And I will be firing up the WebSockify port 9090. And then I can open a web terminal, use a Chrome browser, boom, connect to my VM. Okay, there it goes. Go here. Let's try that. JNKLL 03C colon 9090. Yep. Remember the first time? Auto. And let's see if it's going to wake up. Oh. Inactive, so that's not the problem. Let's make sure everything's running. 9090's there. And I should have, there's 59. Where's 18? Nuts. My change didn't take. Open. Details. Nuts. So let's do this. Force off. Boom. Okay. And so it's 12. No, I said 18, didn't I? That's another problem. I'll make this one 18.
That's what I thought it was 12.
Yeah, it was supposed to be 12. Okay. And
Wow.
listen address. I'll take the default, see what happens here. Now I turn it on. Okay, while that's firing up, go over here, refresh. Let it put in my password in the clear. So I'm now running off that machine. Off the virtual machine. Using Spice. That is the wrapper around the virtual machine. It gives me two consoles. Both graphical and serial. And we use system control. Getty starts or whatever that command was. Yeah,
Just to summarize, you're on that machine. You're connecting to it. VMware has a pretend serial port. And from
Yeah.
that machine, it's going into there.
yeah.
That Spice wraparound it.
You can kind of do the same thing in VMware.
Okay.
Yeah, you can connect your serial port. It works mostly the same. No arguments, no harm, no foul. But what I've been noticing is how dang fast KVM is compared to VMware. But KVM, if you want to load Windows, is significantly slower than VM. So KVM was built from the ground up for Linux. So it's highly optimized. VMware was basically, they started their world. Microsoft had no way to create a hot swappable server. Couldn't do it. But using the VMware stack on big hardware, you could. You could take a load that's currently running on one piece of hardware that's failing. That VM you can migrate live to another piece of hardware, and the user would never know that. But doing that Windows native just doesn't happen. You know, Windows doesn't, well, I shouldn't say that. I haven't done Windows for a while, but maybe the latest version of server supports some sort of a heartbeat and rollover. I don't know. But AIX had that capability decades ago. You get two machines, you load them up, say 20% each. Part of your load was containerized, kind of like what we call Docker today. If this machine started having a problem, you could roll those containers to this other machine and nobody would be the wiser. Just the sysadmins that get in there and figure it out. Hence your pager. Okay. Covered a lot tonight. And you guys don't realize how golden this is. This will help you get an interview at Linode. And then where are we going? Well, I would like to talk about bridged utilities and how to be able to create a virtual machine somewhere that has all your usernames, and that virtual machine you can log into. Even though it's on the 192, 168, 122 subnet. So how do we do that? That's all network. So on that note, I'll let your brains cool off. Go have a good Thanksgiving. Be sure to eat a lot. And you know, it's a good vacation when you forget all your passwords. And keep slogging away on test out.